fairly scarce. They're definitely not prevalent in the city areas.
I haven't seen any recently.
In years gone by, they seem to be on the decrease.
Amongst the builders, businessmen and students of Bristol, there are other workers just as busy. Whether the ambling bumblebee or the tireless workers of a honeybee colony, bees have long been a symbol of community within the natural world. Their importance, however, is far from purely symbolic. Bees' invaluable pollinator service is vital for our food production, but the recent decline in bee populations has meant that these little insects are making big news.
Bees are making the headlines because I think people are beginning to realise that they're sort of the canary in the mines. If people can see that bees are dying, then they know that there's a bigger problem. And I think with more awareness and more knowledge about how people can help the bees and how our lives aren't as sustainable as they could be at the moment, then more and more people would be able to help this pollination crisis.
None.
None.
Honeybee.
One honeybee.
One. Yeah, bumblebee. That's it.
But alongside the social bees, which live in large colonies served by a single queen, 265 other species of bee can be found in the UK alone. Most of these are solitary bees that live by themselves in small nests.
So bees are important to humans because they're a really important pollinator group, and pollinators are important for the production of many of our crops, so things like apples, strawberries, tomatoes and even chocolate benefit from pollination by bees.
In fact, bees pollinate a staggering 1/3 of all crops.
So without bees and other pollinators, this would affect reproduction for many of our plants and have knock-on effects for many other species in the ecosystem as well.
Bees are also food for other animals such as birds. So one of the problems if our bees are being poisoned is that it's travelling up the food chain to other animals and the poisons are getting stronger as they go up the food chain.
In just 80 years, the UK has lost 97% of its wildflower grasslands to farmland. 2 species of UK bumblebee are now extinct, and we know little about how many of the hundreds of other species are coping. Honeybees face further challenges still. The varroa mite, seen here on a £1 coin, has decimated honeybee populations by transmitting deadly viruses to unborn larvae. Human population growth invariably creates problems for wildlife. Urbanisation is threatening our bees by decreasing their foraging resources, breaking up their habitats, and subjecting them to polluted air. But it's not all bad news. Amongst the urban jungle, back gardens can provide an oasis of bee-friendly flowers, often offering a greater diversity of foraging and nesting options than the surrounding countryside. Ensuring that our cities are attractive to bees will not only boost pollinator populations in urban areas, but can also be a vital tool in providing habitat corridors between rural areas, where pollination is needed for agriculture and maintaining natural ecosystems. As winter approaches, flower options diminish as fast as the fading light. But as long as there are flowers to be foraged, the bees won't sleep. Looking at pollen samples from honeybee hives can tell us what they're eating at what time of year. Studies have shown that the most effective pollination scenarios are created when honeybees work together with a diversity of wild bees.
So when you're choosing what to plant to help bees, then it's important to think about when those plants flower in the year. And it's important to have a continual supply of forage for bees, right from the spring, right from the beginning of the year when queens and other solitary bees are flowering, through to the later parts of the year.
This mass of green may not look that attractive to you or I, but ivy is a popular source of autumn pollen for late-flying bees. It is also an important source of nectar for insects of all kinds preparing to hibernate. A more pleasing flower, perhaps, is Fuchsia regia. Not only does this pretty pink flower add colour to an autumn garden, but it too provides a vital supply of end-of-season pollen and nectar. And finally, lavender, with its second bloom and aromatic scent, is a favourite of bees and other pollinators alike.
To summarise the sort of plants that I feel are important for bees in my garden, I would say they need a great diversity. With our uncertain climate, you can't tell what's going to be in flower. If you have a diversity of plants and they are single flowering plants, like the daisy type of plants, with clear pathways for bees to attract them in their possibly sleepy winter state to the pollen and nectar in the plant, then I think that's very, very helpful.
Although an individual garden may not be that large, combine all those gardens and you have an expansive blanket of food for all seasons, helping our bees to keep buzzing year after year.
I love bees, I think they're fantastic.
I like the yellow and black.
And they produce honey, which is great.
They remind me of summer, warm, sitting outside. Yeah, that's what I like about bees.